like the tactile aspects of knitting and designing. Getting to knit with a lot of different kinds of yarns, silk and alpaca and yak and merino wool, and the yarn. It's all about the yarn. Until I started designing as a career, I never considered that I had a career. I had a series of jobs. In the mid to late 90s, I was doing tech support for a very large international corporation. I noticed that more and more people were doing some sort of crafty thing in their spare time. It seemed like there was starting to be a resurgence of people wanting to do something real with their hands. But that was kind of when I started knitting a lot again, and it's when I was changing things and adding pockets and doing all of that, and Dave's going, "You really need to design." I don't think that I would have ever started designing if it hadn't been for Dave. He was my #1 fan and supporter, and had confidence that I could do it. And I would have missed out on this wonderful career if it hadn't been for him. It's very fun to be able to meld such an old art like knitting with today's technology. Talking Excel into doing a Pythagorean theorem for me across 5-7 sizes of a sweater. So I enter a couple of numbers and poof, there are all my answers. It's so much easier. And figuring out how to get Excel to do that was a very creative process. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night with an idea and I go and write it up and chart it and knit it, and it's done, and it's exactly what I wanted. Other things fight me every step of the way. I like naming patterns after old gods and goddesses from Europe or Egypt, some other places sometimes. Sometimes I get stuck and I have absolutely no idea what the pattern should be called, and so I'll do a post on my blog asking for just name ideas. I had no idea what to name that, so I asked my knitting public, and a woman in the UK came up with the idea Domus Aurea, which was an ancient building in old Rome that was said to have been made all of gold. So that seemed pretty appropriate. I like having control over the project and having a beginning, a middle, and an end. I've had jobs where I worked just the middle all the time and I had no beginning and no end. And being in the middle all day, every day was really frustrating. It's really nice to have the whole thing, beginning through end, and having a project that's like, look, I started with yarn and now I have a sweater or a shawl or a pair of socks. It's very satisfying that way.